Hey everyone!
Hi! This is so cool.
I know, this is so fun. I'm Roxanne, Carne, personal stylist.
And I am Sid Long. I am creative director for this wonderful woman here to
Thank
my
you.
left. To my left.
Yeah, which where they see it,
No.
right? And welcome to our YouTube live. We are here to talk about some stuff we just need to talk about to, how women are feeling about their clothing in these days.
Yeah.
To give you a little bit of background, for those of you that are not familiar with love or me and me, I'm a personal stylist for women based in Dallas, but I always travel across the country helping women really get their all together. And we together, Sydney and I actually run a virtual style membership for women to really give them tools and resources. A lot of it is inspiration, I would say,
Yeah,
too,
absolutely.
right? To like do better and want more for themselves and really take their style to next level, but more importantly at a pace that they are comfortable with.
Yeah.
Because not everyone is in the same place, and certainly learn that through the dozens of women that we've helped over the
Absolutely.
years.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
You know, we're all in a journey when it comes to our personal style and our
Yeah.
expression of who we are. And that is what's fun about the member that we are guiding, because everybody gets to share bits and pieces about where we're at and
the struggles.
I know your struggle is real.
And what's really interesting too is that one of the things that I love about the collective is that you realize very, very quickly that you're not the one that feels that way.
Exactly.
You know, we've learned so much about ourselves and our members, and it's just like, gosh, I thought it was me.
Yeah.
And really have a community where you can be, open, honest, and ask help is just amazing.
Yeah.
So no, we're really, really happy to be here this morning. And Sydney, you want to share kind of the idea of the theme we have and the theme we're going to be talking about today?
Yes. So every month in the RC side, we have themes. We have monthly that help drive the conversations and the questions we're posing to our members. Like we said, it's a journey. So there are things that aren't on top of the theme, but for the most part, whenever we have these things, we are helping women together the puzzle of their style and their personal style and what that means from the inside out. So whenever, like this month, and what we're doing today is talking about your clothes tell a story about you. And that has been the theme for the entire month of June, and we're still going strong in the RC Style Guide Collective about this theme. And I love it so much because you can truly learn so much about a person just from what they wear, how they style it.
Yeah.
Another part of the RC Style Guide Collective that we do is we have Thursday kind of like
our lunch laptops and lipstick.
Yes, exactly.
Ladies, you got to come for the lunch laptops and lipstick. Those are our office hours. Every week.
Exactly.
Sydney and I are together for 1 hour to talk live about, themes like this or something that we learned and are sharing, or have open forum really for our members to ask real-time questions to us. And this is all within the collective. But, yeah.
And on that, last week we were talking about the story, or I guess the week before we were talking about this theme in mind is what are some of your pieces that tell a story about you? So we're continuing that today, and we actually asked a couple of questions to our audiences to get an idea of how people are feeling, how women are doing before the pandemic, during the pandemic, after the pandemic, and it's really going to drive this conversation. So we're pretty excited.
And I think, and we'll come to the questions in a moment. Everything that Sydney just shared in terms of, this whole style story. And I think it would be great, actually, I want to share with Sydney kind of her perspective. Sydney is so she's got her own vintage shop, mixed vintage. But the reason why she loves vintage clothing, she loves fashion history.
Yeah.
And the theme of all through the centuries, like what our clothes are saying about us as we pass through time, how it evolves, how it changes. This is something that's really, really passionate to her. And when we were thinking about the theme for June, and it's just like, yeah, what do your clothes actually say when someone sees you for that first time? And I think it's really important to acknowledge, and I think there are two schools of thought about this. There's some people that are just kind of like, I don't care. I'll wear whatever. You take me or leave me as it is. Look, if that's your mantra, if you like it, I love it, right? Do you?
Yes.
But I feel that most people, most women really do have a desire and need and want to look their best, whatever that may be. Looking your best doesn't have to mean that you're in a ball gown necessarily all the time or anything like that, right? But I think it's important because it's a part of our self-identity. So I want to just share with you really quick before we go into the questions. This is a book that I actually just purchased. This is called The Psychology of Fashion by Dr. Carolyn Mayer. And she is, I just came from a conference. Was it last week or the week before? I was in a conference for AICI 2 weeks ago. AICI is the Association for Image Consultants International. And every 2 years, we have a massive global conference. So 2 years ago, it was in Chicago. It was supposed to be in Dallas this year. And I was on the fashion show committee because it was supposed to be here. And then, of course, COVID hit. Last year, we made the decision to make it virtual. All that is to say is that there was such rich discussion for my colleagues and peers within the industry on a global basis about fashion, about clothing. And one important aspect of it was the psychology. And Dr. Carolyn Mayer actually presented. She was one of our keynote speakers, and I've known her name from before, and actually had heard of the book before, but just it slipped my mind to buy it. And I was like, I've got to buy it. So I've started reading it, and I want to just kind of point out some really interesting quotes from the book. And we can include a link to this. You can find this on Amazon, but we can include a link in the show notes. But when it comes to how we feel about ourselves and how others perceive us, what she says here is that although we develop our self-concept through socialization, we continually assess it by measuring it against societal and cultural norms and the feedback that we receive from others. So this is independent of clothing, right? We'll come to clothing in a moment, but it just goes to show it is in our DNA, even if I bet even the person that just says, I don't care what anybody thinks. I think there's a small part of you that does care, right? And it's just how we're hardwired. And I know we have some people watching. If anyone wants to make a comment, if you fall into that bucket, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like, I care how people perceive me, especially because for my business, I am my brand. Right. I want you to know who I am, but I really want you to appreciate me and what we do and all that. That's important to me. That actually drives me. So when you think about it in terms of clothing, a lot of times we are thinking, when I put this together, I'm going out to dinner, what's my date going to think? Or I'm going out with my girlfriends, what's she going to wear? It's just kind of built in this. I see Tasha saying she's experiencing this right now. Yeah, it's such a real thing. So I think that's important. And then when we're thinking about clothing, what Dr. Mayer says here is that clothing is a part of our identity, and fashion provides an obvious means for presenting the self in the most favorable way. So, again, bringing in the clothing aspect of it, we can lever clothing to put our best foot forward all the time. Again, no matter where you're going or what you're doing. And I thought this quote was really interesting. Many reasons have been given for following fashion, including enhancement of one's best feature, for modesty, for status, in-group belonging, and out-group differentiation. So
That's
5.
so interesting.
Yeah, I was like, this is
I
so
love
true.
this. I love this in my head immediately. Whenever it says for modesty, and for status and group belonging. So this, I actually just listened to a podcast about fashion history and during Marie Antoinette's, when she was becoming queen and all that, and it was a precedent during her reign to have court dress.
Yeah.
That wasn't really a thing, but it became a thing. And something that spun off from that was a conversation about tight clothes and how back then the tight clothes were not, maybe nowadays people associate with having form-fitting clothes as kind of more sultry and you're showing more of your body. But back then that was modest. Like, because you're covering the entire, every inch is tight, covered. It's covered. Yeah. That was modesty. So it's very interesting.
Have a definition.
Yeah,
changed
that's
with
changed.
time, right?
But you still have these very solid pillars of what we are basing our fashion on.
Right. Yeah. And why you get dressed. So let's just briefly I'm all excited. Pens are flying everywhere. But this is a good discussion. So the first one was enhancing one's best feature or features. So, if you've got, a curvy body and you want to show that off, you can wear the clothes that are going to show that off. If you've got, like a great neckline, great shoulders, you're going to wear pieces that highlight that. Modesty, we just briefly talked about, and modesty in nowadays too. And if you haven't seen this YouTube, or not the YouTube, it's a post that I did on interviewing a designer who she focuses on modest wear in terms of covering like certain pieces of the body. There's definitely a movement for modesty in the fashion space. And it's a very real thing. I do have a few clients that prefer to dress modest, and modest does not have to be boring. I just want to say that.
And nor does it mean that you're like, not,
proud
of your body or anything like that. It's just a preference.
It's a preference of style,
and you own it and you make it yours, and that's what makes it sexy.
Exactly. So there's that one. For status, so we all have seen these folks that they wear clothes, and I really feel they're kind of like putting clothes on as like body armor almost. They're wearing it to show, I can afford this. I can wear that, right? It's really kind of it's more I don't want to say anything like it's not from a negative space, but maybe more superficial. They're not wearing it because like it's the best thing for them. They're wearing it to show what they can do. Right?
Exactly.
In group belonging. And I feel like that one is really second nature for a lot of us as social creatures, which we are as humans.
Yes.
Part of our fabric is to belong to someone, belong to a group. So, surround ourselves with like people that share the same or similar ideals and goals, interests, right? So in group belonging, and then out group differentiation. So leveraging fashion to make a statement. To say, I'm an individual here, right? It is what I'm doing, my funky glasses, my funky colors, whatever it is. It's so true. So I'm curious, between those 5, again, I'll review really quick: enhancing one's best feature, modesty, status, in-group belonging, or out-group differentiation. I'm curious if you guys can drop in the comment section where fashion really kind of falls for you.
And it looks like Tasha had said... let's see. Okay, Tasha had said she was raised by strong, fashionable women. However, her outfits were critiqued. That doesn't match. I dress differently now, but for a while I dressed like them.
Yeah.
And I think she continued. I definitely feel the need
to belong.
So
Tosh, I'm so glad that you brought that up. And this is part of the whole psychology of fashion too. And I have these conversations with clients all the time, in that your upbringing definitely makes an impact on your relationship with clothes and your wardrobe. I have some clients that came from kind of like modest means and backgrounds where, maybe there wasn't a whole lot of money, or there were multiple children, and like you're sharing clothes and hand-me-downs and things like that. And anything that would be fun would be perceived as being kind of frivolous. Like if they came from backgrounds that were a lot more kind of frugal, which again necessarily isn't a bad thing. No. I mean, you have it or you don't. It just is, right? But they feel a lot of guilt when getting to that point where they're like, I want to do something more for myself, but I don't feel like I should, or I don't feel like I deserve it. That really, really shapes it. Now, conversely, you can have some people that are like, that they were used to getting all the things all the time, and then they have an excess. They have things that they don't even remember that they own anymore. So it's I'm glad Tosh brought that up. Because the fabric of who we are and our identity and relationship with fashion and our clothing, a lot of it does sit on how we grew up.
Yeah, and I'll say, like, to that point, whenever I was growing up in high school or middle school, I'd come down the stairs and I'd ask my dad, like, what do you think? And he's like, well, who cares what I think as long as you like it? And I'm like, that's a good point. Yeah, you're right.
Like, I can roll with that, Dad.
And since then, like, and from him, I feel like I was given a lot of freedom to, like,
to explore.
And the thing was, I wasn't, dressing like when I was 14. I wasn't wearing like mini skirts and like, I wasn't dressing like that, but I was expressing myself through clothes and having fun with it. So that directly impacted me now to where
what
I'm
you
like,
see.
And what I'm looking for, and that, kind of that mentality. I'm like, no, I'll separate myself. I'll stay over here. Beep, beep, beep. That's my little bunny hop to the right over here.
Right.
But it really does. It just depends on your upbringing and what you want and what you're looking for.
Absolutely.
Nothing wrong with any of those.
Yeah, and I think it's just important to honor that. Because you really cannot move forward and make goals if you don't recognize and realize where you are right now and how you got to that point, because then that's where you can actually see some recurring themes in your life pop up, right? And you're like, ooh, this is something that I can shift. This is something that I can do better, or something that I just want to change. So we have a couple more comments.
Dawn says hers were modesty and belonging, and that she resonated with the comment you made about being frivolous,
and the guilt.
And the guilt.
Yeah, particularly moms.
Yeah,
I see it a lot with moms. Yeah,
because she was not at a young age. She got no direction from her mother. And didn't feel confident in who she was and the choices she made. So she's trying to do better with her daughters and trying to give them.
Yay, Dawn!
I know.
You're an awesome mom.
I know, exactly. You always got to give what you didn't have. And absolutely. And Tosh, I know this because Tosh and I have been thrifting together. I love thrifting because I can go crazy with spending and try different styles. I love that. You can do so much.
Find the relics, right?
Find the relics.
Find the relics and literally bring them to life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I know it. So I love those answers. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you. And I'll just, my final quote from the book that I wanted to share is self-enhancement and impression management. That's an interesting term, impression management, are motivating factors in maintaining positive self-esteem. And this, I will say, is definitely true. So true. My business is built on this. Other stylists and other image consultants businesses are built on this, because in wanting to do more for yourself in terms of your personal image, it shifts your self-esteem immediately. If you're wearing, the bomb outfit and you are stepping into a room, you're walking into that room with your head tall, your shoulders back, you feel good. People notice you, and they're not necessarily noticing you because of your outfit. Now that can be a reason why they first see you and want to approach you. But if you were to walk into the room in that outfit, and just kind of be like this and hiding, that the two, they're not synchronous. They don't match up, right? So it's it's just really, really interesting to see the transformation when you've got a closet full of clothes that have pieces that fit you well and serve you well and are aligning with your life goals.
Yes.
You know, it becomes inherently like a part of you. That is just so important.
Which is why, you know, with the RC Style Guide especially, we talk about being intentional.
Yes.
Because all of this to say, you know, the things that you're wearing, they tell the story about you. You are leading. It's like, how long does it take for someone to make an impression about you?
It's milliseconds, really.
Like, that's
it's like
insane.
a tenth of a second.
Yes.
And I mean, and this isn't, I'm not pulling this out of my, you know, like this was the Harvard, I think it was the School of Psychology or whatnot. This was done like in the early 2000s. They actually, I don't know how they were able to measure it, but there is a white paper on this research, and it is like a tenth of a second for that impression to be made. And when you're making an impression on someone, we're visual creatures. When we're interacting with someone, typically we're seeing them before we talk to them, right? In a room. So it is just so important that you, like Sydney said, like, have intent in pulling your looks together, because that's where opportunities come from. When you are feeling great, you're putting out kind of like that great energy into the universe. I'm telling you, the success stories that come from clients that I work with that are rocking a fantastic wardrobe, they're experiencing that success in work, in love, personal fulfillment, and you never regress.
Right.
You don't go backward. So that's something really, really important.
Yeah. And, you know, and I think it's a good time to jump into
the questions that we had.
And before why we were asking these questions is because, you know, during the pandemic, you had a lot of time to think intrinsically about, well,
a whole lot of time.
Look in your closet and be like, okay, now where do I go from here?
Yeah.
You know, we were literally forced to acclimate, to adapt to these new demands of being on Zoom and, you know, teaching your kids from home, things like that.
Yeah.
And that has an impact on us and what we're wearing, psychologically, emotionally, everything. So we wanted to jump into this because we know that it really affected women, especially in your line of work. I mean, across the board, women were coming out saying like, I need to do something with my wardrobe.
Absolutely. It's not cutting it. They're, you know, while it was great, like the first month or two to be working from home and in the sweatpants and the yoga pants and the t-shirts and whatnot, you know, and hiding behind the image on Zoom, you know, the static picture, right? When we realized like, okay, wait a second, we're going to be on Zoom for a long time. And I got to get on camera. I need to get my together.
I know it.
So we asked our audience through our email list, through social media, 2 questions. So we'll lead off with the first one.
Yes.
The first question was, what story do your clothes tell about you today? So we're going to read off some responses. We did get a really nice response from folks, and we chose a few. And of course, the comments are anonymous. But which one do you want to start off with?
I know didn't we talk about this?
Oh
one?
yeah,
let's really
I'm positive. So we got a pop. So it was funny though. Out of all the responses that we got, seriously, like one was like positive. And I'll share that with you. She said, I feel fabulously purposed for the world. My refined style is helping shape my personality more and more, giving me confidence and a feeling of at home in my own skin, aka clothes. You know the saying, quote, a picture paints 1,000 words. I won't reveal who this person is, but she actually is a client of mine. And we started work together last fall. And she's a dynamic woman, and she did it with intent for professional and personal reasons. But what she just shared is where I want like everybody to be on that plane. Doesn't have to necessarily be the same bit of motivation that gets you right.
Yeah.
But I want you to feel, I want your story to be a good story. So so that was the only positive one that I thought was quite interesting. So I'll have you read
we're gonna go into some of these.
Yeah.
One response we received was, so the question was, what story do your clothes tell about you today?
Yeah.
And one of
Be
our
real.
responses
We tell people to
was,
be real.
Be real.
Yeah.
They say blah blah blah.
And that's it.
And that's it. And
they feel blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Right? That is not that's not what clothes should be doing for you. But in that raw moment, this is how she's feeling, right? Her clothes, the story that her clothes are saying are blah blah blah.
Right. That's not a story we want her to tell.
No.
We want her clothes, her story to say,
yeah,
I'm empowered, I'm ambitious, I'm dynamic, and
right.
Your clothes should reflect that about you. Women are bad.
Exactly. So, but we wanted raw answers to this, and that was one of the ones that came back. Here's another one. She said, I was having lunch with my son the other day, and he mentioned that all women wear are leggings / athletic tights. And I thought, OMG, that's me. Due to my lifestyle as a retired teacher / health coach, my daily activity dictates my style. It's easy to work out, run errands, and go on lunch dates when you're dressed in comfortable workout wear. Yet it is becoming a little boring and depressing. I love fashion and would like that to be expressed in my clothes more. As a matter of fact, I don't put a lot of time and energy into how I look anymore. I become lazy, and honestly, it makes me feel a little sad. And it actually made me feel sad reading that too, because and the reason is because I can hear her desire, right, to want more. She loves fashion, but she's become kind of complacent, in her style, and she knows that she can do better, but she doesn't really know how to do it. And this is someone that I'm actually working with right now too. But this is real. She said, I become very lazy and it makes me feel a little bit sad. So that's the energy that she's exuding, where she's wearing her jersey top with the leggings or the sweatpants out to run errands. She's not feeling her best, and that's something people can pick up on.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I thought that was an interesting response.
Okay, so here's another one. So what story do your clothes tell about you today? Comfortable. That was one response we got, and I think that's very, realistic and pertinent coming off of the pandemic. So many of us are, I remember in the middle of the pandemic, I was working out in the mornings, and I was working from home, and I didn't have to do a whole lot. So I was literally like, I kid you not, when I would be bored, I would go off to the side and start doing push-ups, like
midday push-ups.
I would be working out at least
that would not be me
3 times a day.
For the record,
3 times a day because I was bored.
Yeah,
I was like, oh my gosh, well, let me just get off camera real quick and do some jumping jacks and or go outside. So I was constantly in workout clothes, but I was comfortable.
It was comfortable,
but that only lasted. That was all fun and games for the first 2 months. And
then
after that, I was like,
it's kind of like,
oh my gosh,
I need something more.
This is our current predicament for a while.
Yeah, no, I agree. Another response, my closet currently says chaotic identity crisis, which is really funny because the person that made this comment, she and I are meeting for the first time this afternoon.
Yes.
So we're going to get a handle of that. But her truth, her reality is that it's a chaotic identity crisis. She doesn't know what's going on. That's her style story. So probably when she's getting dressed, she's,
who am
super frustrated, right? Walking out maybe in things that maybe she's just defaulted to because it's like, okay, I know this works and I can rock it, but you can only maybe wear that so many times. So this is real. And you want to do this one?
Oh yeah. So our next one, what story do your clothes tell about you today? My clothes say that I have a simple kind of life. My clothes are not fussy. Some of the day-to-day clothes are pretty faded and worn out. Those say about me that I have not paid much attention to how I look lately. My clothes say that I am relaxed. Perhaps they say I am approachable. My day-to-day non-work clothes may say that I am a bit boring or that I don't pay too much attention to style. My work clothes say that I'm a professional and that I prefer an understated classic style. My clothes say don't be distracted by how I look. Focus on what I have to say. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
So that one was kind of like we were saying neutral,
Very neutral.
right?
Mm-hmm.
There's room for development, but not necessarily in a super negative place. But I love the last bit. Focus. She wants her clothes to not be distracting, but rather to say, you know, this is what I have to say. And that is exactly what clothes should be doing for you. They should serve you. Clothes should never show you up in a room, right?
Right.
Yeah, it's got to be authentic.
In sync. It's in alignment. Your clothes need to be in alignment with the message and the story that you're telling about yourself.
Yeah, and highlighting who you are.
Exactly.
Right? It's an accent. So those were some of the top ones that we wanted to share in terms of that first question. So the second question was, how do you feel moving forward with your style in this post-pandemic world? So one response we got was, I'm underwhelmed and sad about my closet. So her future outlook is not so good based off of that comment. What else do we have, Sydney?
We have one that responded, my clothes have become a little outdated, as you pointed out some of that in our session. It's time to invest more in myself, my image, and my style. I mean, it's
a time to do it. Exactly.
Another response, not good, need to be more stylish. Let's see, another one.
This one says, with my 30+ pound weight gain during the pandemic, I feel I have nothing to wear. I've tried buying things here and there, but a lack of a cohesive wardrobe with multiple choices. My choices are few, and I'm not really feeling any of them. So again, not such a great place where you've got these clothes. Again, they're not serving you, and you don't have anything to actually put together.
And I will say I have definitely felt that way with my own closet of, like I said, women are dynamic.
Yeah.
We're always changing, always putting on different hats. We're in different seasons.
Right.
And, I'm only 20. I keep wanting to say 28. I'm only 27. And, just 2 years ago when I first moved back to Dallas from DC, I was wearing literally all black.
Yeah.
Chains, like silver. But I felt like, as I grew in my own personal life,
right,
I started moving away from that just very dark, solely edgy outfits and embracing more of my little, kind of boho rocker look. But I was looking in my closet being like, okay, this doesn't feel like me anymore. It doesn't feel like you. And it was like a mix match. My weight had changed. I felt so lost.
Yeah.
And then when I started working with you, I started getting an idea of like, oh, okay. But I was like piggybacking off of your clients. So it was like, oh, that could totally work for me. And I tried it. And it'd be sitting in my closet and I'd be like, darn you, sweater that I don't ever wear, but you're so pretty and I spent money on you, but I don't wear you because you're not in alignment with me.
Yeah.
And so that is why we keep harking on that it is literally a journey.
It totally is.
It takes time,
It does.
Realize what works for you, what doesn't work for you. I understand. I have resonated with that one comment that says like their closet was currently chaotic, saying chaotic identity crisis.
Yeah.
Because in my closet, I would look in there and see like, okay,
all
there's
really
edgy me. There's really like kind of like boho me. There's like, who's that guy? Like there's army brat me. I'm like,
all of those, I was just thinking, all of those could have been, and it sounds from your story, very valid at different points in your life.
Exactly.
But what about today?
Yes.
Like, what is going on with your wardrobe and who are you today?
Exactly.
Yeah. That's why you got to kind of let go of the things that just aren't working.
Aren't serving you.
And taking the opportunity to, again, self-assess, right? Yeah. Recognize and use that as a springboard. I
love this response.
Yeah, what's that one?
How do you feel moving forward with your style in a post-pandemic world. Moving forward in a post-pandemic world, it is like I can't wait to reintroduce myself. That is so fun. Like when
I
you've
love that.
got new clothes, you're feeling good about the
Mhm.
pieces that are fitting you.
Yeah, it's like a rebirth.
I'm coming up.
Yes, exactly.
I want someone to know. Like
you're totally, it's a rebirth.
and you feel so good. Like walking out in clothes that they're just meant for you.
I know.
Like come on, you guys all
That's a great outlook.
Yes.
That's the outlook that we want
like
literally everybody to have, right? Flip the hair.
You don't even recognize yourself in the mirror.
I
You're like,
know.
oh hey, didn't see you there.
No, and it's just, again, you've got to pause, assess, and figure out like what to do. And I know it's confusing, especially now that we have some folks that are going back into kind of the work space again.
Yes.
Where there may be, like, I have a few clients that are definitely working in the hybrid model, where they are doing some a days of during the week, like at the Zoom at home.
Yes.
And then they're going
And then
into the office
Mhm.
like 2 or 3 days a week. And so many are saying like, oh my gosh, like, what do I wear? Because we're not wearing suits
Right.
anymore, really. So time for a little plug. So yesterday, it actually recorded last week, but I was on TV yesterday on a show called Daytime, where I very, very briefly, it was such a quick segment, but got to talk about some of the trends that we're seeing in workwear, namely the kind of power casual movement.
Yes.
So we will have, it was on live television yesterday, but we're going to have our YouTube updated. And when we do that, we'll make sure that we link that here so you can check that out. But in that, I'm also putting together an article expanding on what I was able to share in that segment and give a few more cues as to what we're seeing coming from designers. What's really interesting, and I think is great, is that typically when we're thinking about trends in fashion, it comes from designers and really, really moves down. It trickles down to the consumer.
Yeah.
What we've seen in this past year is a complete reversal of that, in that, you know, the designers and brands have been very, very in tune and like listening to what consumers were saying and what their lifestyle is like, you know, being at home, seeing more kind of relaxed wear come through and designing from that standpoint. So I think it's just a very, very interesting dynamic that we weren't really prepared for, but knowing and acknowledging that, yeah, there are some people that still have to go back to work.
Mhm.
You know, what are they going to wear now? Because, you know, again, people aren't really wearing suits anymore.
And didn't we read something, or a statistic was told to us that like the
Mhm.
sales in Crocs went up? You know, like
oh yeah, like a crazy
like Crocs and
just like anything that
cozy
just
shoes.
anything that just offered ultimate comfort
Yeah.
is really where people want to be. That's where we
Yeah.
are. The designers are meeting us essentially where we are. So anyway, I thought it was just so poignant to kind of talk about and share how, and you know, how women are thinking these days. And I think too, knowing, and hopefully as you're watching and listening to the comments that we shared, in realizing that, you know, I'm not the only one if you feel the same way.
Yeah.
But you are the master of your destiny. You know, you're the one that is at the helm of the ship, and you're going to determine, you know, what's going to make sense for you and what you need to do next. So I think that's kind of what I wanted to share in terms of kind of framing up what we just covered.
Yeah.
Any other points you want to talk about before we talk about how we can help people?
No, I think that you hit the nail on the head. I mean,
Yeah.
so much is changing, and I mean, everybody's confused in some way, shape, or form. What do I do? I mean, as events are coming back, weddings are coming back.
Yeah.
Going back into the office, you know, and I think even going back into the office, there's been that whole shift of, okay,
Mhm.
well, you know, do we really, we're not even meeting other people in person, so what's the point of even dressing? I experienced that in my
Yeah.
old job of
Yeah.
like, well, we're not even meeting people face to face, even when we're here in the office.
Right. So what is that new
What,
code?
yeah,
Like, what do
exactly.
we do? So it'll be interesting to see over the next few months and over the next year, how we continue to adjust and evolve
Yes.
from this. But, definitely kind of share where you are in the comment section about how you feel today. And then also, what your personal outlook is on your style in the now I can hopefully say post-pandemic, but I don't know. Things are kicking up in Europe again, so we'll see. But kind of getting back into a little bit of normalcy when it comes to our wardrobe. So what I want to share with you is, that next step. How do you get help? This is where Sydney and I come in. So again, the RC Style Guide Collective is here really to support you in your journey. If you visit, I'll just pop up the website right here, rc-style.com. It is just a really collaborative and fun space to, again, share every step of your journey with members of the collective, but also with us. We provide such great resources. And one of the best ones, I think, is, as Sydney mentioned before, was our weekly office hours, where we're live with everyone, set date and time every Thursday to answer your questions. But also you'll have access to kind of exclusive videos and content that is exclusive for the RC Style Guide Collective that you will not find on my blog posts and things like that. We really, really tailor it to the really kind of what's going on inside, right? And also just sharing things that we come up with and we see, and we're like, oh, wow, this would be great to share with our ladies and build a conversation around it and so on. There's so many great things to come to in the fall. We're going to be putting together kind of a series of classes that are going to be open to everyone, both the public as well as RC Style Guide members. But as a member, you will get discounts, for being part of the collective. But no, it's just a really fun place to seek inspiration and also get it from the guidance of experts. We're not just kind of whittling around. This is our livelihood. This is what we do for a living. And we just want women to be their best. Whatever that means for her, we want that. So I think that's everything that we wanted to kind of cover today. Let's keep the conversation going even after this YouTube live posts. The comment section is open in YouTube. Definitely check out, again, rc-style.com. Let's continue the conversation in real time within the collective and really join the space to experience that growth and camaraderie with ladies that are just like you. And I just want to say, I think we had one last comment. So yep, we were Deidre has given us some love. Deidre, she's my client from the East Coast. I'm so glad that you're watching today. And Tosh says that her wardrobe shows a creative person. I love it. It was like wearing a costume. Used to wear a lot of black, but now she's drawn to color and print. Oh, and funky shoes. Oh, God, I love the shoes. Shoes and handbags. Like, I'm obsessed. I love shoes, but I really love handbags too. So more to come on that. But no, thank you so much for joining us this morning for this live. And again, if you have any specific questions, drop them in the comment section. And I think we're good.
Yes, thank you guys so much for joining us. And we're going to do more of these. These are so fun.
These are so fun.
Interact with you guys. And we appreciate you being here.
Absolutely. See you next time.
Bye
for now.